Joan of Arcadia is an American television fantasy family drama telling the story of teenager Joan Girardi, who sees and speaks with God and performs tasks she is given. The series originally aired on Fridays, 8:09 p.m. on CBS and CTV for 2 seasons, from September 26, 2003 to April 22, 2005. On initial release, the show was praised by critics and won the Humanitas Prize and the People's Choice Award. It was also nominated for an Emmy Award in its first season for Outstanding Drama Series. The title alludes to Joan of Arc, and the show takes place in the city of Arcadia, Maryland. Plot: in the pilot episode, God appears to Joan and reminds her that she promised to do anything he wanted if he would let her brother survive a car crash that left him a paraplegic. God appears in the form of various people including small children, teenage boys, elderly ladies, transients, or passers-by. Joan is asked by God to perform tasks that often appear to be trivial or contrary, but always end up positively improving a larger situation. One of the more obvious effects of Joan's actions occurs when she is asked to take a reclusive bully to the school dance. While both her mother and the assistant principal object, Joan follows through with God's task. At the dance, it is revealed that the bully has a bottle of alcohol with him, but Joan convinces him not to open it. Despite this, the assistant principal later reaches into his jacket, finds the alcohol and expels him. In his anger, the boy threatens the chief of police with a handgun, and he is then arrested. Joan later finds out from God that, while this turn of events seems rather bleak, it was the lesser of two evils. Without Joan's actions, he would have shot over a dozen students and teachers with a handgun, before turning the gun on himself. This ending is noticeably more direct than most episodes, since it is the only time God comments so clearly on what would have happened rather than primarily allowing events to speak for themselves. The series starred actors Joe Mantegna and Mary Steenburgen as Joan's parents Will and Helen, Jason Ritter as her paraplegic older brother Kevin, and Michael Welch as her younger brother Luke. The family relationships and plot situations were written more realistically than other shows with spiritual themes. Various storylines that spanned multiple episodes dealt with the consequences of Kevin's accident, Will's job as a police officer, Helen's career as an art teacher, and Luke's aspirations to be a scientist. No specific mention of any true religion is ever made, and God quotes Bob Dylan, Emily Dickinson and the Beatles rather than any scripture or verses. Furthermore, God is portrayed with a very human personality. In Touch Move, he tells Joan that he has to send her down there, and laughs when she becomes worried he means hell, when he meant the school basement. Also, in one episode, he hands Joan a book from a store they have just left. When Joan accuses him of stealing, he remarks, "Well, technically everything's mine." Christopher Marquette also stars as Adam Rove, a close friend of Joan's who has an on-and-off romantic relationship with her. Another of Joan's best friends is Grace Polk, played by Becky Wallstrom. Cast and characters. Main cast equals, Amber Tamblyn as Joan Girardi, a middle child of the Girardi family. Teenage girl who talks to God. Joe Mantegna as Will Girardi, a Joan, Kevin and Luke's father. Police chief of Arcadia PD, eventually chooses to return to detective work after he is kidnapped and busts wide open the internal corruption of the town of Arcadia's infrastructure. Mantegna had a development deal with CBS and liked the script, so agreed to be part of the show. He was also involved in the casting of the other characters. Mary Steenburgen as Helen Girardi, a Joan, Kevin and Luke's mother. Secretary and eventually art teacher at Arcadia High School. Jason Ritter as Kevin Girardi, a eldest child in the Girardi family. Became a paraplegic in a car accident because of failing to stop a friend from drunk driving while in high school. A jock, he was supposed to attend college on a baseball scholarship prior to the accident. Works for the local newspaper as a fact-checker at first. Later pursuing a career in journalism, and going on to become a local news anchor. Michael Welch as Luke Girardi, a youngest Girardi child. Science nerd, straight-A student. Chris Marquette as Adam Rove, a only child of Elizabeth and Carl Rove. Socially awkward and introverted. Joan's best friend boyfriend, Grace's best friend since childhood. One of Helen's art students, talented artist. Becky Wallstrom as Grace Polk, only child of Sarah and Rabbi Polanski. Adam and Joan's best friend and Luke's eventual girlfriend. An outspoken activist against all authority, has a particular hatred for school principal Gavin Price. She is highly intelligent despite her reputation. Recurring cast Erin Himmelstein as Friedman, Luke's best friend, Magina Tovalsklin as Figlila, Luke's friend and one-time girlfriend, Sprague Graydon as Judith Montgomery, Joan's friend from the summer psychiatric camp. Mark Totti as Detective Carlisle, Will Girardi's junk food-addicted partner on the Arcadia Police Department. Elaine Hendricks as Ms. Lishok, chemistry and physics teacher. Patrick Fabian as Gavin Price, assistant principal, Arcadia High School. Very unpopular among students. Annie Potts as Lucy Preston, lieutenant, Arcadia Police Department. April Grace as Detective Tony Williams, Will Girardi's partner on the Arcadia Police Department in Season 1. Derek Morgan as Roy Roebuck, Arcadia Police Department. Wentworth Miller as Ryan Hunter, a young, charming.com millionaire who also talks to God, but with his own sinister agenda. David Burke as Fr. Ken Mallory, Helen's friend and pastor of a nearby church. Sydney Tamaya Poitier as Rebecca Askew, a reporter at the newspaper where Kevin works. Dated Kevin. Constance Zimmer as Sister Lily Waters, a former nun who helps advise Helen Girardi, also Kevin's girlfriend. Haley Duff as Stevie Marks, Eric Palladino as Lieutenant Michael Dallion, Will Girardi's colleague. Guest cast Hilary Duff as Dylan Samuels, Lauren Mayhew as Elle, Alexis Ziner as Bonnie, Shelley Long as Miss Candy, Tyler James Williams as Hallway Boy. Incarnations of God. The many incarnations included: Crew, Barbara Hall, Executive Producer, Jim Heyman, Executive Producer, Stephen Nathan, Executive Producer, Hart Hansen, Consulting Producer, Peter Schindler, Co-Executive Producer, Randy Anderson, Co-Executive Producer. Theme song. The opening credits roll with the song One of Us, written by Eric Bazilian and performed by Joan Osborne. It was a hit single for Osborne in the United States from her 1995 album Relish, What If God Was One of Us? Just a slob like one of us, just a stranger on the bus, trying to make his way home. Osborne re-recorded the song specifically for the show. To fit the lyrics of the song, Joan first meets God as a teenage boy riding to school on the bus with her. Production. Scenes of Arcadia's skyline and other outdoor scenes were actually the city of Wilmington, Delaware. Arcadia itself is set in Maryland. Joan's high school is El Segundo High School, California. Reception and cancellation. Joan of Arcadia debuted on the heels of Touched by an Angel, which had ended its 9-year run in April 2003. While Joan of Arcadia was one of the highest-rated news shows of the 2003-2004 television season, its ratings declined in the second season, in spite of continued critical acclaim. The show was cancelled by CBS on May 18, 2005. Fan campaigns were created in response, in an effort to have the show reinstated. Only 2 episodes, No Future, and The Rise and Fall of Joan Girardi from the second season were repeated by CBS, and remaining reruns were pulled from the schedule. Near the end of the second season, a menacing character was introduced to the series, an immoral tempter, seemingly destined to cause a significant amount of conflict in the show's characters. The show's cancellation left that premise unexplored. Ghost Whisperer took over the show's Friday time slot in September 2005. After the show's cancellation, props such as pieces of Adam's artwork and Joan's signature messenger bag and costume pieces belonging to cast members were sold on eBay. Grace's trademark leather jacket was not included as the jacket was brought in by actress Becky Wallstrom from her own teenage years. Viewers by season. USA Today summarized Joan of Arcadia's ratings as follows: during its first season, Joan of Arcadia averaged 10.1 million viewers, respectable numbers for Friday, A Quiet Night for television. The following year, Viewership sank to 8 million, according to Nielsen Media Research. Nielsen ratings Episodes. Awards and nominations. DVD releases. Note, each disc in the season, except the last, contains 4 episodes. See also, Eli Stone, Touched by an Angel, Promised Land, Highway to Heaven. References. External links, Joan of Arcadia at the Internet Movie Database, Joan of Arcadia at TV.com.